Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time on this channel, you're welcome. I am Anne Ain Coach and I'm an author and I also do business. Now today's video is me sharing with you how to make the vegan version of kontomire stew, which I will be serving with rice and fried plantain. Okay, now kontomire stew is a Ghanaian meal, and the non-vegan version you normally add fish or meat of your choice, but I'm doing the vegan version which has no meat in it or fish in it, um, simply because I've got a book that is called Vegan Meals that will be coming out shortly, and so this recipe is going to be in that book. Okay, but normally feel free to add your fish or your meat. You just follow the exact same step, except that you add your meat or your fish. Okay, so without further ado, I'll begin by washing my hands. Okay, and let me adjust my camera. I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, so you can see my ingredients. All right, so that red light flashing, I've already got my cooker on. Okay, that's what I'll be using, and I'm going to be using Zome palm oil. Okay, now I need to let it melt, so I've got my boiling hot water there. I think the oil is too wide. I'll use this one instead because that's too wide. Okay, that's better. Right, so while that is melting, I'll show you the rest. So kontomire, that is what I'm using. Kontomire is basically cocoyam leaves, okay? And I've got my A.H.P ginger powder. Normally you use your fresh powder, your fresh ginger, okay? Then I've got my onion, but because my blender is not working, I'm going to be using onion powder instead. Okay, which is the A.H.P onion powder. It's just real onions that I made, and how to make it is on this channel. So that's what I'll be using. And again, normally you'd be using Scotch bonnet pepper, but I don't have any in my home. So I'm going to be using just this regular hot chili pepper. Okay. Again, you normally blend it, but because my blender is not working, I'm going to improvise with the powder version. Okay. Now you've got your salt. I'm going to be using table salt. Okay. I've got 1 plantain just because it is only me eating, but feel free to do the amount, to use the amount that your family needs. Okay. Then I'm going to be using long grain rice. Okay. The Cobb brand, although I'm not being sponsored in this video. And feel free to use basmati rice if you want. Okay. And then I'm using the N-square ogbono. No, it's not the ogbono. I don't need the ogbono. Egusi is what you need. Egusi. Guys, don't come and spoil my food. Don't come and spoil my food. Oh, I beg. Where is this? Okay. I think it fell at the back of the freezer, I think. I was right. I was doing filming on the film. So ground egusi, but if you have the regular seeds, you can just blend it yourself. But I got the blended version, so that's what I'm going to be using. And then, of course, I've got my spatula. And what else? Oh, okay. Got my chopped tomatoes. Normally you blend your tomatoes, but my blender is not working. So I'm going to squash it down using the wooden spatula as much as possible. And then I've got tomato puree. Okay. And then my knife, of course, and my knife for peeling and chopping, and then my chopping board. Peeling and chopping my plantain. Okay, so let us begin cooking. That did not do anything. Okay, so I'm going to do what we know to do, which is just use my fork to scoop. Feel free to use your spoon. Okay. Alright, so it's Saturday, early hours of Saturday morning. Let me put this away so I don't get confused. Now, I'm going to be using tablespoon. Oh, God. Always scones. So, normal measuring tablespoon. Into there, into the tomato, just because normally you blend that together. Okay, let me just wipe my spoon. And then I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of the chopped onion, because normally you'd use a whole onion. One more item that I forgot is garlic. For the chili, I'll just use my eyes to eyeball it. A teaspoon. I'm going to, don't worry, my son does eat chili, my children eat chili, so they're fine. Just not too hot, but they do eat chili, so it's fine. I can hear my oil has started to bubble over here. So before I get the garlic, I'll just use my wooden, especially I'll use this amount of the puree. So about a tablespoon. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Yeah, that's a tablespoon. So I'm going to tidy these up while I head over to get my garlic. So I'm going to be using garlic, A.H.P garlic granules. Basically, I dried it, regular granules, and I blended it. If you do not know, I do have a page on Facebook and also on Instagram, and we do share content on Twitter, not so much, but on TikTok. It's called A.H.P Food Store Limited, but on Twitter we're called A.H.P Collective 12. Okay, so that's where I share my recipes and agricultural content on there. Now let me wipe again this spoon. Right. Make sure you're using dry spoon whenever you're scooping your seasoning, otherwise your seasoning will get spoiled quickly. So I'm going to use a tablespoon. Okay, so that amount in here. Okay. Now I can rinse off my spoon because I don't want the palm oil to get on it, because palm oil sticks to everything. Okay. So I've got a bag here to improvise in right now. Get rid of these things. I'll use this for my ogbono. In the meantime, I'm going to mix my ogbono with salt and cold water. I'm going to use all of it, the whole pack. So if you're using the seeds, you can just measure a cup of the seeds, of ogbono seeds, and blend, and it should give you this amount. Okay. Imagine there's plastics in there. You need to look through your food when you buy them. When you buy the ready-made or even the non-ready-made products, you need to check, because the worst thing you can do is make food, serve it, and then find that, oh, there's issues with it, and it's not your doing. Okay, so let me get some water. So I'm going to put that amount, less than half a cup of water. You just, and then half a teaspoon of salt, that amount, into my ogbono. Okay. So now my tomato paste is ready. That's how it's looking. Like that. Okay. So I'll mix this. So in here, remember I've got my garlic, I've got my ginger, I've got my tomatoes, I've got my onions. Okay. And I'm mimicking the blended paste that you normally blend all your seasonings, these seasonings together. But because I don't have a blender at the moment, I've used the one that I previously dried and blended. So, plus my tomatoes, my chopped tomatoes, to get it into a paste, like mixture. Because I don't want the stew to be too dry. But if you do get dry stew, you just add a tablespoon of so I've added that. I'm going to rinse my bowl so that the residue of the seasoning will all go into here nicely. Right, now I can use that spoon to mix my salt into the juice. I'm concerned about this palm oil going into the rest of my dishes because it's literally hard to wash palm oil. So I avoid, now that I know, I avoid it as much as possible from getting into dishes because it turns them yellow and sticky, and it smells like palm oil, which is not a bad smell, but it's quite strong. A strong smell, so you don't want that in your cups. Okay, so I'm going to leave that stew there to cook. Now I'm going to, this is what you want, the paste. Okay, don't worry about the yellow color, it's just me using my spatula to mix. So this is the consistency you want. You don't want it too runny. Okay, because if it's too runny, it will not curdle. Now, I'm tidying up as I go along. Don't need this anymore. Okay. Now we come to plantain. All you need to do is chop off the ends. Put that in your bin. Peel it like that. Put the skin in the bin, and then you just chop it. You chop it like that. There are various ways of chopping it. You can chop it into cubes if you've got less plantain, so that the cubes goes a long way. Let me show you how you do the cubes. For the cubes, you do that like that, and then you cut it into 4. So you cut it like this, turn it around, and that's how you do your cubes. Okay, but because I'm the only one eating the plantain, it's okay. My son will try it, but he doesn't really like it. He hasn't acquired the taste for it yet, but he does like eating bananas though. So and plantain is in the banana family. So with my plantain, I'm done. I'll just lightly salt it. Because I've got salt in my stew already. And with your plantain, all you need to do is basically fry it in this oil. With vegetable oil. I've got some in here, so I'll be deep frying that later on. So I'm going to put my plantain to the side, and now I'm going to wash my rice. So with your rice, you boil it, okay? You wash it thoroughly, and then boil it with a bit of salt, but I'm not going to put any salt in there, just a little bit of salt normally, but because I've got salt in plantain and in the stew already, well, the goose is going to go into the stew, so yeah, because I've got that already, I don't need to add salt to my rice at all. So yeah, so we're good on that. But literally, let us measure. So this is 1/3 of a cup, so I'm going to measure 2 of these. So it gives you about a cup and a half. I've got the bad habit of using my teeth, but if you want to be fancy, you can use your knife to open stuff. Oh, so that is one. That is two. So I get these things that I clip, these clips that I use to clip my rice, leftover rice. So it gives me this amount of rice, and I can wash it. So you rub your rice to get most of the dirt and the starch off. So make sure you do it slowly so you don't pour your rice into the sink, because that would be a catastrophe. Rinse it again. That is okay now. Yep. There's no dirt in there. So I'm going to rinse this out because this is the cup I'm going to use to measure my water. So I'm going to measure 2.5 of these to make sure that it's cooked perfectly. Right, so what is left? So my stew has started to nicely bubble. Okay, so now I can add my egusi. I'm going to use my hand to put the rest. Okay, this is me cooking for my family and my hand is clean. But if you're cooking for a multitude, please don't use your hands, like unless you're wearing gloves. Of course, use a spoon. Okay, now let me wash my hands. So we're gonna wait for the egusi to cook and form the lumps, and then I'll add the kontomire stew. The kontomire, sorry, the leaves. I'll drain it now. Let me drain that now. Show you what it looks like. Drain out the liquid. Sorry guys, let me show you. Drain out the liquid. Okay, and I like to give it a quick rinse normally. And drain out as much of the liquid as possible. So that's that. So at this stage, while that is cooking, I'll clean up my dishes. So that the rest of the day will be a chilled working day. Because I've already got some leftovers for dinner, which I'll be warming. This is going to be lunch. So if you're cooking the non-vegan, you just add your meat or your fish. Like you cook it separately on the side and then add them together once the egusi has formed, and then you add your cocoyam leaves and let it cook down while you boil your rice on the side and fry your plantain on the side. But I'm going to do that recipe at another time when I've got the right meat, because I don't have the right meat for it in my freezer. I've just got chicken and minced meat, and then vegetables. The rest is vegetables. So I need to go shopping next weekend. I'm so glad I avoided the palm oil getting into the dishes. Otherwise, we would have been an issue washing. I learned the hard way. Okay, I think my egusi has started to form lumps, so I'm going to just check on it.